Welcome back to the Cinema Clubhouse podcast. I am Travis.
And I'm Will.
And in this podcast, we talk about list, we recast, and today, Will, what are we talking about?
Well, Travis, it is Oscar season.
It is.
As we speak, I believe, coming up this next week.
Yes, it's upon us.
We love all kind of movies around here. We love awards season.
We do.
So today we figured we would make our own list of Best Picture nominees, except everyone's doing this year's nominees right now and making their own lists. We thought we'd get ahead of schedule and do a best of the decade so far.
That's good. I like that.
So Cinema Clubhouse as an entity will be making nominations for Best Picture of the movies that have come out first 5 years of this 2020's.
All right. I like it. I like it, Will. Like, it's a different take. A lot more doors open that way. We're not limited to, this last year.
Exactly. Yeah. Great year for movies, 2024. A lot of the Best Picture nominees I've seen, like a lot. Don't really know where the award season is going, who's kind of got the upper hand at this point.
Yeah.
A lot of outside controversy going on with some films.
Yes.
Not really a clear front runner, but
I don't think so.
Like you said, kind of limits us just talking about 1 year of movies.
Yeah.
We're looking at 5 years, so lots to choose from.
Lots to choose from. Lots of movies.
Been a great decade so far of movies.
A lot of great movies. A lot of memorable movies. A lot of movies that, stuck with me in ways that I wish hadn't.
Yeah, which hadn't. Interesting. I can't wait to talk about those. But yeah, it's been a good decade for movies. Again, we got a lot to choose from. It was hard narrowing down this list.
Yes.
We both kind of have lists in front of us, but
yep.
Kind of the way we're going to do this is we've each got our pool and going to construct this thing sort of on the spot.
Yeah.
At the end, we'll have Cinema Clubhouse's nominees for the 10 best pictures of the 2020s.
That's right.
And then we'll have to revisit this in 5 years.
Yeah.
See how many stayed on the list, how many. Maybe none of these will be on the list. Maybe the back half of the 2020s is going to be
completely new.
The greatest 5 years in film.
That's right. Well, we'll see how we do. I think let's talk about some performances that kind of stuck out to us this past decade that we feel they might have gotten recognized. They may not have yet, but stuck with us in a way that we want to recognize them now. Yeah,
for sure. I definitely putting together a list of performances that I wanted to talk about potentially. Kind of looking at ones that didn't quite get the recognition during award season that others did. Obviously, those other ones have already been talked about ad nauseum.
Yeah.
So we want to kind of highlight some other ones that really spoke to us.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, we'll talk about a couple. Do you want to start us off?
I'll start us off.
Yeah.
I'll talk about, this was recent, but this performance was unbelievable and got no recognition really, and that was Nicolas Cage in Long Legs.
Ugh.
He was phenomenal.
Wait, he was in that?
That's right. He was Long Legs.
Oh.
No, Nicolas Cage in Long Legs was undervalued.
Yeah.
Like, he was unbelievable.
He went for it.
He went for it, and he got it.
Yeah.
Super creepy, super uneasy. There was times where Nicolas Cage came out in his performance where you're like, but the character was so crazy that, it didn't distract from, for me anyways, it didn't distract from what the character was.
Yeah.
And I think he should have been nominated for that. Because, especially his last, 5 years or so of movies haven't really done anything major. And to just come in swinging with a performance like that, just kind of out of nowhere was awesome to see. And, highly underrated.
It was a wild performance. And I agree with you. I feel like horror movies don't get the attention they deserve a lot of the time. Still angry about, no nominations for performances like Hereditary, like I'm blanking on her name right now. Lead performance in Hereditary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like horror doesn't get the recognition it deserves.
No, it does not.
And yeah, this was a performance kind of akin to Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
In Silence of the Lambs. I mean, not total carbon copy, but
No, just like the character himself took on a life of its own. And it was just like, if you remove that, like not just the character, but Nicolas Cage from that, the movie doesn't have the same impact.
Yeah.
Even with anybody else in there, it just wouldn't have had that same, like, I don't know. Whatever he brought, the movie needed it.
Yeah. I feel like Nicolas Cage can do unhinged. Sometimes that unhinged performance is warranted.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not.
That's right.
But yeah, I feel like this one definitely was on pitch for what the movie was.
Yeah.
And yeah, really creepy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had a problem at all if he was part of the awards conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah. I think it's my favorite performance of all of last year.
Wow.
Like it stuck with me.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible, especially just from like, you take the movie he did before that and just like, even in the last decade, he's been doing a lot of straight to streaming kind of B movies, and like, he's still got it. Like, yeah. And it's just like, man, we're not utilizing him as we should.
Yeah. Is it safe to say we're maybe in a Nick Cage assance?
I think so.
Maybe.
I think so.
Are we in the middle of it? Or are we at the beginning of it? I don't know.
I feel like we're kind of in the beginning of it,
Either way, I'm not complaining.
Yeah. I think it's really starting to take shape that he's going to be back in the forefront of movies.
Yeah. Okay. Great pick.
Thank you.
That was under consideration for me as well.
Yeah.
Love the performance. One I want to talk about is one from a movie you will probably be hearing more from later in the conversation.
Okay.
But there was an awards season a couple of years ago where everyone from this person's movie, and the movie itself was winning all the awards.
Yeah.
But she was getting no attention at all. And she might have been the most important performance in the movie outside of the main protagonist performance. I'm talking about Stephanie Hsu in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh yeah.
Jobu Tupaki.
Yeah.
Or Joy was the character's name. Yeah, she
got no recognition.
She got no recognition, and it was so bizarre. Like, the movie almost hinged on her. Like, it's a crazy movie in general, but without her performance like hitting, it could have totally gone off the rails.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, like, love me some Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
Maybe a legacy award like the Oscars want to give out a lot of times. I loved her performance in the movie, but it was not even close to the same level.
And I take it, if you remove this person's performance, is the movie the same?
No.
And if the answer is no, then you kind of need to recognize that. And I feel like if you took Jamie Lee Curtis out of that and put someone else, it still would have been the same.
It's a wacky performance. It required, a good amount of variation.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that Stephanie Hsu just got totally blanked. I don't remember if she got any nominations throughout awards season, but the award should have been hers instead of Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah. Her performance was just amazing.
Yeah, it was so good.
Even without the Jobu Tupaki element.
Well, no,
just as the daughter.
Oh yeah, I know. She was pivotal to the story working.
Yeah.
And a pivotal character for the other characters to base their performances off of.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought it was strange that she was always the one left out.
Yeah.
And it's like, but guys, she's like the main part of this, right?
I think she'll eventually get her shine. I feel like she's showing up more and more in different things. I'm always happy to see her in a movie when she pops up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I feel like she should get the recognition she deserves for that particular movie, like everything else of the movie was.
Right.
But yeah, that's the first one I kind of wanted to highlight.
That's good. She was definitely undervalued. That's a good one. I have another one. He was recognized for his work. He didn't win, but the performance was just so good that I have to talk about it again, and that's Austin Butler as Elvis.
Yep.
It was, to me, when you're playing a real person, and let alone a super iconic person, the stakes are higher and the room for error is lower for people to judge you like, oh, that, you know, because we know who Elvis was. And we have that to judge it against. And so for him to nail it with someone that iconic was just, it was incredible. Like, to me, was I happy Brendan Fraser won? Yes. I love Brendan Fraser.
Everybody was, yeah.
But Austin Butler's job was a lot harder to play someone who was real and was known all over the world.
Yeah.
A character you create, not as, you know, a made-up character is not as hard to play as a real iconic person. And to me, I think Austin Butler deserved the win for that reason, just because it was so good. Like, it was believable, and he felt like Elvis.
It's one of those competitions, like, obviously I forget he was up against Brendan Fraser and that you remember, but for some reason, you know, that's one of those performances or that competitions where I don't necessarily remember that he lost. Like, in my mind that he won for it. Because I think it was kind of back and forth all awards season anyway. So I didn't really remember who ultimately came out on top, like in the Oscars. Yeah. Because like one for one award, one another award show. And so it was kind of back and forth. But he was great. Obviously that's like catapulted him. Like, he's going to be in so many other things. Maybe in Indiana Jones.
Maybe.
But yeah, he was great. Loved the performance a little more than the movie. But yeah, he was awesome. Again, like you said, trying to give a performance based on a real life person is always a tricky line to walk, because is it impression? Is it?
And there's a standard to hold him up against. Like, it's like, did he check all these boxes? Right. I think he blew him out of the water. Yeah. And for being someone who's kind of unknown, like hadn't been in much, to just come in a role like that and just knock it out of the park, you're just like, whoa. Yeah. Like, it just, there were so many levels to it he had to achieve. Like the voice, the way you walked, the singing, he had to do all of it. Yeah. And he did. And now he still talks like that. He ruined his voice.
That is true. It seems like he has become Elvis.
He just talks in a Tennessee accent forever now. Yeah. In that deep voice. But to me, it was, he got recognized for it, but I think we like undervalue what he took on and did. Yeah. Because I don't think someone like Elvis, I don't think anyone has played anyone that iconic in movies before. Like, he was known. Oh, yeah. I mean, that level of fame. Like, there was just so many levels to Elvis that he played, and he nailed every stage of it. It was so good.
Yeah, it was great.
It was good.
That's a good one. There's a reason he was right there in the thick of the award season and won a bunch of the best astronauts. Just didn't get the ultimate. Right. That's good. Similarly, the one I'm going to bring up, another one portraying a real life person. The performance I wanted to highlight was Corey Michael Smith as Chevy Chase in Saturday Night. Just came out this past year.
So good.
Love the movie in general. Yeah. Might be a movie we talk about again later on in the discussion. But pretty much everyone in that movie nailed it. Again, it's so hard to walk that line between impression and actual performance. He became Chevy Chase. Oh yeah. Like, going back and watching like clips of old Chevy Chase skits and stuff from Saturday Night Live, like he was the standout for me of the movie. Like, again, everyone was great. You know, I don't really have a lot of reference for like Lorne Michaels at that point in time, right? But you know, Dylan O'Brien as Dan Aykroyd was great.
Yeah, everybody was phenomenal.
Yeah,
just phenomenal.
But for me, the standout, like I said, Chevy Chase. You know, he's the one that ultimately at the end delivers the line live from New York Saturday Night. Yeah, So kind of not really his, he wasn't, it was Lorne Michaels' movie, but yeah, everything kind of rode on his performance.
Well, anybody not nailing that would have taken you out of the whole experience of the movie.
That's true.
And so it's like everybody had to bring A+ A game to it for it to, especially for the way the movie like flowed and went. Like if once somebody derailed that, it would have broken the illusion, and you'd just be like, oh, that was weird. But I feel like everybody,
I mean,
his definitely stands out, but everybody's was like at the top.
And different people I talked to that have seen the movie have different standouts. Like that's how good the performances were across the board. I think at some point that movie kind of lost, just completely halted momentum in terms of like award recognition.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I should have been right in the thick this year of
a lot of things.
Yeah. Not the least of which is the performances.
Yeah.
And Corey Michael Smith. I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff. I imagine a lot of those people are going to be in a lot more now.
Yeah, I mean everybody nailed it, and again, a lot of things get not talked about, forgotten, and it's like how though, like when it's that good.
Yeah,
and again, when you have a person that you're playing that's already known, like you have to walk that line of impression, and you are them, and I feel like everybody was them. Like it felt like the actual actors in the movie.
Yeah.
In the 70s, which was crazy. That movie's a crazy feat that was achieved that nobody's really talking about.
I know.
And
it's a shame.
It sucks. And a lot of it is, timing when it comes out.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of movies that are so good come out in a really time where either there's movies that trump it for what it did, or it's just like not really people are paying attention to movies at that moment. And so it's a shame.
If this was a Christmas release.
Yeah, I bet it would have done a lot better.
Would it be in the awards discussion right now? Because there's a few movies that kind of snuck into that Best Picture conversation that were like, just released like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's great performance.
Yeah,
good call, Will.
And
good call.
I'm sure a lot of other ones will be brought up kind of during our other discussion, but those are two I kind of wanted to highlight.
All right, I think it's time to.
Let's get into it.
Get into this list.
I feel like we should be doing this at like 5 a.m. and announcing on Twitter.
That's right. That's right. We'll do that.
Okay.
We'll break up this video in sections, release it starting at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I can go.
Okay. Tell us your first one.
Again, we're kind of going to be unveiling our list. This is not a set in stone list that we're coming in with here. We're putting this together on the spot. I think we both have a lot of picks that we anticipate being on there, but might throw a curveball in there.
We might. You never know.
I think I'll get the one out of the way that I knew for sure both of us would want on there.
Okay.
And it's one that was already a Best Picture nominee.
Yes.
It was a Best Picture winner.
Well.
I talked about it in the performance discussion. It's Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Of course.
This movie, it might be my favorite movie of the decade so far.
Yeah.
It's you don't always have that connection between like what your favorite movies are and what movies get recognized for awards. Those are often different lists.
Yeah.
I think the lists we're coming in with are kind of taking that factor in. Not necessarily these movies would be in our top 10 of the decade so far favorites.
Right.
But just in terms of what deserves Best Picture recognition in our mind.
Right.
But this one had that crossover. It's just.
It did. It was one of the biggest surprise movies I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Where not really knowing a lot going into it. I knew the concept. Just didn't think it was going to hit.
Or at least thought I knew the concept.
Best Picture levels of story and everything as it did.
Yeah.
And for a movie to pull off the multiverse better than, movies that
have multiverse in the title.
Multiverse in the title is crazy.
Wink, wink.
But no, it's an incredible movie and definitely deserves to be on the list.
It's one of those movies that I think what makes it great, like the initial like concept of it is enough to make me intrigued to want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those movies that could be just that, just concept and not like delivery. But I think what pushes it over the top is like that central element of the movie, which is essentially the two main relationships in the movie between, Evelyn and Joy and Evelyn and Waylon.
Yeah.
Just those emotional scenes that play out at the end that kind of tie everything together.
Yeah.
That's what pushes the movie from like wacky sort of Matrix meets Being John Malkovich meets what is that? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I describe it to people sometimes, which is like, what is that movie?
Yeah, exactly.
But it takes that like crazy concept and like grounds it in just the relationship. And I think that's what ultimately connected with just regular viewers and also like critics.
Well, and the story was pure, and what it was, it knew what it was. And it was just a good story.
I can't imagine what it was like to direct that movie.
No, crazy. But no, it definitely deserves to be on the list.
Yeah.
It is probably the best movie of the decade so far. And that might be true even at the end of end of this decade.
I can't imagine if we revisit this in 5 years that it's not part of the 10.
Yeah, no,
because right now
to be a crazy.
It's our number one.
Yeah,
I mean we're not ordering these, but
but it's the first one. Yeah, for sure. All right, I agree. Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah, all right. I did you a favor there.
Thank you, thank you for taking that one and making my life maybe easier.
Yeah.
All right, mine is also one we talked about in the performances, but mine is Elvis.
Okay.
That movie, I think, told a story in a kind of different way, not your typical biopic way, kind of where the side character was kind of told through his journey with Elvis more so.
It was a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, Austin Butler's performance was the movie, but I feel like it hit every stage of Elvis's fame.
Yeah.
And captured it in a way that visually was stunning and just different. And it's super good. Super good. My dad's also a huge Elvis fan, so I grew up with Elvis. So to finally see a movie where you got to it's funny. My dad has been obsessed with Elvis for my whole life and never really understood it, right?
Yeah.
Until I saw the movie and the moments
you get it
where he was performing and the crowd was like just losing it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
I get like something that just took over the world and like encapsulated something new.
Yeah.
At a time when something like that didn't exist. Like I was like, it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was crazy to see it through my dad's eyes through a movie where I'm like, I get it. It's not.
Yeah.
He was bigger than just his music.
Yeah. It was the sea change.
Yeah.
There's a few of those that come along, back then it seems like, that wasn't as common. Or it was more common to see those sea changes because right now everything is just, we get everything all the time. And it's hard to really see what has like the major impact.
Right.
Your Elvises, your Beatles.
Yeah.
Like
they just shake up a whole industry and like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that's to me why it worked as an incredible movie is like it had me feel how they felt.
Yeah.
When he first, took the scene by storm. And I was like, that's cool for a movie to do. And like something I really hadn't experienced. And so I was like, man, Father, I get it. I get it. That's crazy. I get it now. It all makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it before, like when it comes to biopics, like give me a different take.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a million biopics where it's just like they start at childhood and they move into like their first break.
Yeah.
And they get into drugs and then they have their downfall.
Yeah.
It's all the same story all the time.
It's the same formula.
At least, and again, I mentioned earlier, this movie is more performance to me than like I appreciate the performance more than the film itself. I appreciate the different take on a biopic that it took.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I have no problem seeing it on our list. It's definitely, I think that there's an element of like cultural relevance to it as well. That makes it a worthy spot. Yeah. I guess so far we agree. We agree with the Academy, which we won't be.
We'll quickly get off of that.
We'll have a shift soon, but yeah, no, that makes sense. Good pick.
Thank you.
2 down, 8 to go.
Yep.
We're sticking to the Academy's 10 nominee rule here.
Yep.
My next one, I am also going to stay with the Academy a little bit, and then I think we'll break out.
Okay.
My next pick is going to be Poor Things.
Okay.
This is a movie, so directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. I think I'm saying that correctly.
Close enough.
Not always the biggest fan of his work. He's very, either you get his movies or you don't. Either they hit or they don't.
That's right. There's no in between.
Yeah, there's not really any in between. Coming into this one, I was kind of split on the movies I'd seen. Wasn't a big fan of The Lobster. Did really like his other collaboration with Emma Stone, which was The Favorite. And so I was like, I'm always intrigued by, his movies and the marketing, and we'll see they deliver. But saw Poor Things, another one that's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of weird body stuff, weird interactions. But this was one that just, the more I sat with it, the more it just kind of latched itself to my brain. Yeah. And I think it might have been my favorite the year it came out. Like if I was a voting member, it would have gotten my pick. I think over Oppenheimer, if I remember, that came out the same year. But yeah, I just love. I thought the performance was well deserved by Emma Stone. I know there were other people that year that people were thinking might get the award, but she was. This movie doesn't work without her being all in. Yeah. And she was all in. Yeah. Like the some of the stuff they have her do, she essentially has to act like a baby for like part of it. Like until she kind of like learns to be more adult. But it's just I like to highlight movies that are just different, do something different, have something to say. Yeah. And just like creatively from an art standpoint, just are great. Like the production design of this was awesome. Yeah. It's like watching a stage play. Like it's almost like watching Tim Burton do a stage play. Yeah. Kind of. And yeah, it's just all the performances are great. Again, Emma carries the movie, but Mark Ruffalo's character is hilarious. Yeah. It made me laugh out loud multiple times. Maybe at inappropriate things to be laugh out loud, but I think it was intentional, at least from my mind. And Willem Dafoe always brings a great performance. Yeah, he's always also great in this. But yeah, it was just it's one of those zany, like one of a kind kind of movies that. Yeah, and when you get a movie that's one of a kind and stands alone, it's like it's what it is, and I don't really know how to explain what it is, but to me, when you can capture that, and then but also you're bought in on the ride you're going on, that makes a great movie. Yeah, and it deserves to be, and it's one of those that I wouldn't necessarily want to watch with my mom. Yeah, it's or eating. Yeah, that's it's got some gross elements to it. That could be a list. Movies you don't want to watch while eating or with your parents. Yeah. But Yeah, I loved it. Again, as one, like, you have those movies that maybe on first watch, it's like, I appreciate that.
Yep.
And then it's just like, it won't leave your head.
Yeah, when you can't get it out of your head and you keep going back to it and replaying it. And
when it goes from did I like it to did I love it?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what makes a great movie.
Yeah.
And it makes it even more rewarding when it teeters on your list from being like, I don't know if I liked it, to being like, this might be my favorite movie the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's like when that doesn't happen right away, and great movies sit with you and like it take time to be like, wow, to really appreciate what they were doing.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Deserves to be on our list.
Again, we're lockstep so far with the Academy.
Not for long.
I think that's about to change.
So I'm going to change it right now.
All right.
My next one is going a different route, I think.
Love it. Okay.
So we talked earlier that, horror doesn't get recognized as often as it should.
Yeah.
Same with comedy, right? Like those two are just like, they can't really qualify for what we need to see for Best Picture, which I disagree. I feel like they have every element that needs to have. You just are blind to see it.
Yeah.
So my next pick is Nope, Jordan Peele's third film.
Okay.
This one, I've loved all of his movies. This one was, such a unique take on an alien kind of invasion movie that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
And it really had two really good stories, kind of playing out. And to me, the thing that, I think one knock on it, I think he focused on the wrong story as the main story.
Yeah.
I think he could have focused on the storyline from, the TV show, and then kind of done that more so than he did, but appreciated. Like, one, that movie starts out so good where you're just like, what? Pure terror. Like, you don't really know what's going on.
Didn't I've seen the Planet of the Apes movies.
Yeah.
Not as scary as that opening scene with that monkey.
That was terrifying. And chimp. It just, we've talked before how Jordan Peele kind of knows how to start movies, and that one that was his like biggest, like, you're in the story.
Yeah.
But the performances were great across the board. The movie, like I said, did something different with a genre that I hadn't seen before, and just, it was a really good story and a really good movie. I talk about it in I like all of his movies, and so it's hard to pick my favorite, but this one just did something different than the other two.
Yeah.
To where it like flipped what idea I had going into it, and it was not that. But it's not that it took away from it. But I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And like just the subtle things like in it, like where the things they hint at kind of what's going on the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
It's really hard to, at this point in time, have different takes on certain kinds of movies. Yeah. Like the Alien, not Alien Invasion necessarily, but just aliens in general.
Right.
Like, millions of times we've had just the little green men with the big eyes.
Right. Right.
There's been plenty of other takes of the alien invasion. Having the alien be essentially the ship.
Yeah.
Is a totally different
totally thing. Out of the blue, not expected thing.
And the marketing also did a good job of hinting that it was like an alien movie, but not. You
weren't sure.
Yeah, you weren't positive. Like, well, it might have been another element to it.
Right.
But yeah, I agree that like the tension in the movie was incredible. Whatever your level of how you like Jordan Peele's 3 movies are, you can't argue that he does tension.
Yeah. Almost better
than almost anybody.
Well, yeah, and the cinematography was excellent. The performances were excellent. The whole movie, the movie as a whole is fantastic, and I feel like it doesn't get talked about as much because, again, I think that didn't work with everybody.
No,
that kind of twist that, and with Jordan Peele, I always expect whatever I'm presented, I don't expect that to be what it is. And so, but I don't think it worked for everyone. It worked for me. Again, I like the new take on it and something different that we hadn't really seen.
Yeah.
And I just want him to do more movies than he does. It's been a hot minute since we had a Jordan Peele movie, and
I want him to take his time.
Yeah.
So far I've liked all three of his movies to different extents.
Mm-hmm.
Get Out, I think, is still his masterpiece.
Yeah.
Nope, I think is my second favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah, I take your time. Just continue to deliver interesting. I'm always looking forward to the next Jordan Peele.
Yeah, me too.
We talked about earlier, like 15 years ago, if you had said like, can't wait for the next Jordan Peele horror movie, I was like, I think you misspoke.
Yeah, horror movie, Jordan Peele.
The Key and Peele guy.
Yeah. No, he's definitely the master of it right now.
Yeah, he, Get Out sort of started to get that like awards recognition. I'm confident. I think we'll see a Jordan Peele movie get that again. Maybe even sneak into the Best Picture conversation.
Yeah, and I feel like he'll be a horror director that wins Best Director.
Yeah. I hope he doesn't go the way of Shyamalan, where like the first three were like
gold, and then it just
then,
you can't strike gold for a while.
Yeah, I think he knows what he's doing a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, and everybody trusts him now, and it's like we'll back you.
Well, everyone trusted Shyamalan too.
I mean, he did have
the
3
next
home runs
or whatever. Yeah.
We're not hoping that on Jordan.
No,
we trust you, Jordan. But that's my next entry on our list.
Yeah, I like it. I'm glad that horror made the list. I was kind of feeling you out, seeing where you were going to go. If we got down to the thick of it and there wasn't a horror, I had some on my list.
Yeah.
Nope was in consideration.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I think, one of the best horrors of the decade so far.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, not talked about enough.
Yeah.
The whole movie's tense. Like, the whole time you were just like, man.
Yeah, my back hurt coming out of it.
Yeah.
All right. Got 4 down?
Yep.
Okay. So next one on my list is one that we also kind of have talked about before. We are continuing to divert from the Academy here. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. The director of this film, generally speaking, is an Academy darling over the years. But for whatever reason, this one didn't hit people's radar. I think it was mostly well received. It came at a time where a lot of people weren't going to the theater, and I just think it just kind of slipped by people, and other movies kind of got swept up in the award talk, and this one didn't. But what I'm talking about is Ridley Scott's The Last Duel.
So good.
Don't have really like a period piece on our list so far.
Very good.
You got to have a period piece in your best picture.
You got to.
Yeah, it's always got to be one.
And a Ridley Scott one, not a
Ridley
bad
Scott. Yeah,
route to go.
Good track record with period.
Mm-hmm.
This one, like I said, slipped into people's radar. Matt Damon, Adam Driver, Jodie Comer, Ben Affleck. The performances in this one are great. I thought at least there would be maybe some recognition there when it came out.
The movie's incredible. It honestly is.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's essentially it's told in 3 different parts from the 3 different perspectives of the main 3 characters.
So good.
Something happens between those 3.
Yep.
And you essentially get one side, the other side, and what's labeled as the truth.
Yeah.
Which is essentially Jodie Comer's angle. But yeah, it's just really interesting take. I've never really seen something like that before.
Right.
I'm sure there's others out there that are similar, but yeah, it was so crazy that and it was a relatively long film too, like over 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Like it took its time. It's not like it's pretty dense, but again, such an interesting take on this kind of film. Essentially the last duel is they're dueling over Jodie Comer's character, and basically for her honor, because she makes an accusation about one of them. Yeah. Takes place back in like medieval times.
Yeah, I think like 1600s.
I can't remember.
Like
yeah.
No, it's it's one of the most incredible movies I've seen in a long time, not even just this past decade. Just from the like storytelling aspect of it.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen a movie like that to where you have the same story told three times.
Yeah.
From different perspectives, and to craft like what actually happened. Mm-hmm. So good. The performances are unbelievable. I don't know why people don't talk about this. I don't know why. Like you said, it just slipped out into the radar, but I think the marketing for
Ridley Scott movie.
I think the marketing for it sucked because I don't remember seeing much for it. I mean, you get amazing Adam Driver performance as most things he's in, but also Matt Damon, like just phenomenal. And you're just like, what the? It made me so mad when I finished it that I didn't know about it sooner, or people weren't talking about it.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. It should be on this list. It should be on a lot of lists. But yeah, if you have not seen it, please go see it right away. It's so good.
Yeah, seek it out. It's not an easy watch, but it's a fantastic film.
Drastically underrated.
Yeah.
I mean, Ridley Scott, I'd put it up there with Gladiator. Like that was so good. Yeah. So yes, thank you, Will, for bringing that on our list. We definitely needed it.
Needed it there.
Yeah. All right. That's good. We're moving along.
Halfway there.
We're halfway there. Yeah. I like our lists. It's going well. All right. My next one. I'm going to put an animated movie on this list.
You're doing the dirty work, I feel like, for this list.
I think so.
But it needs to happen.
I'm trying to give recognition to these movies that deserve it.
Yeah.
This movie, it definitely got some Oscar buzz. I don't know if it got Best Picture.
Yeah.
It came out last year.
Okay.
This is The Wild Robot. Watched it not too long ago. Incredible. It's an incredible movie.
Yeah.
It's really good. The storytelling is amazing. The animation's amazing. The performances, it kind of feels like peak Disney, like just where it's like, whatever emotion strings you have, I'm gonna pull on those.
Yeah.
And it really it's an amazing story. And again, a lot of people buzzed about it, but still not to the level that it deserves to be talked about.
Yeah.
For what it achieved. And so for that reason, it has to be on this list for the past decade.
Yeah, if you weren't going to include an animated movie, I was going to put one on there too.
Yeah.
Again, another genre. Animation is not really a genre, but a medium that gets ignored.
Yeah. It's for kids. That's where they draw the line, and it's like, what?
Yeah. And, I appreciate that animation at least gets recognized. They get its own category, so they get the recognition. They get to talk about 5 movies.
Yep.
But yeah, we need to see. I feel like more often than not, I don't see a ton of animated movies, but a lot of the ones I see, I'm like, that may very well be in my top 10 at the end.
Well, yeah,
of the year.
and I think when Beauty and the Beast was nominated for Best Picture, it bothered people.
Yeah.
But, the story was really good and it hit everything that some of these other Best Pictures.
Yeah.
And that's why they're like, we're going to create an animation category so you guys don't impede our Best Picture. But I just don't think that's fair because it's still a film. It's still telling a story, and it doesn't matter how you tell that story.
Yeah.
I feel like they deserve to be in the Best Overall Picture, conversation because, some of them are better than some of these other nominees we get.
Yeah, I mean, some definitely break through. There's only been a couple I can think of: Beauty and the Beast, Toy Story 3. Can't remember if there was maybe one more besides that, but I think that's pretty much it. But yeah. I mean, I think the Academy, with it expanding its voting base to larger demographics of people that are voters, we're starting to see, more diverse Best Picture nominees each year.
Right.
Still seem to hold on to some things from the past that influence the vote. Yeah. Some movies seem to always kind of squeeze in there still that are like, this is like prototypical Oscar bait. Like,
the Oscar movie
of
the year.
It was nominated because it's supposed to be nominated,
right. Look, we checked the boxes.
Right.
Give us the award.
Exactly. But, so, no, that's good. Admittedly, have not seen Wild Robot. Want to see it.
It's very good. Very good. Need to watch it.
I've heard good things, but glad we got a horror. Glad we got it animated.
Yeah.
You're doing all the dirty work here.
I'm trying.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe I need to step up my game here. All right, so we got 6, just 4 to go, Travis.
Just 4 to go, that's it.
All right. My next one, I didn't know where I was going to go with this until we started talking.
Okay.
But I think I'm going with a blockbuster.
Okay.
Don't really have any blockbusters on our list yet.
Not yet.
This one, I'm kind of lockstep with the Academy again, just when I was starting to veer away. I'm going to go with Top Gun Maverick.
Perfect. Perfect.
I mean, this one was nominated for a reason.
Oh, yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah. It's a great film. Kind of just head and shoulders above what the original was.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I didn't grow up a big Top Gun fan.
I mean,
I never was really asking for it.
Right.
I had seen it.
Right.
Enjoy it for what it is, but yeah, Top Gun Maverick just takes things to a whole new level.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, it's able to capture the essence of what the original had in certain scenes. Your volleyball scene with the football scene.
It captures those, but it enhances them and makes it just it like makes them modern.
Yeah, and it adds layers to what was already there. But yeah, I just was blown away by Top Gun Maverick in the theater. Again, just kind of cranks things up to 10, way above what the first one ever dreamed of being.
Is mind blowing. It was just incredible. It's just an incredible movie going experience.
Yeah, and it was a simple story, but again, like I said, layers to it.
Yeah,
and I think Tom Cruise just doesn't get the credit he deserves as an actor.
He doesn't.
And
no, he's great. He's great, and
yeah,
I think he's just become what stunt is he going to do? And his performance is forgotten. But even as Ethan Hunt, his performances are great.
Yeah.
And they get overshadowed by whatever crazy thing he's attempting. And this one still had those elements. And I think his performance was overlooked.
Yeah.
Because of...
I mean, the element of them actually flying the jets. And,
yeah.
I mean, it does add something to film that you just can't fake.
Right.
I mean, they do as well as they can these days. They're able to fool. I mean, I don't blink an eye most of the time.
Right.
But yeah, and the relationship between him and Goose's son, Jennifer Connelly coming into the fold.
Yep.
It's just a great movie.
It's awesome.
It's what you hope a blockbuster.
It's what a movie should be. Yeah. And it's an experience, and he created nostalgia for what movie-going experiences used to be. And especially since after COVID, we needed to be reintroduced to what that was.
And that was
because I think a lot of people had forgotten what it was. And that reminded us. That was it. That's the one that kept movies kind of relevant in theaters.
I think Nolan hoped it would be Tenet.
Yeah. I mean, he tried.
That was a little early to be,
There was no nostalgia with Tenet and hard to follow.
Yeah, right.
Now, if you would have made Top Gun Maverick, maybe. Might have been weirder.
Yeah. I could have seen him make Top Gun Maverick.
No, but yeah, absolutely. You can't rewrite this decade without that movie on the list.
It's too, I tried to be as different from the Academy as I could, but some movies just need to be on there.
That's true.
And that's what I'm going with,
That's
Travis.
true. Well,
I got one more to go from my side, at least.
So you saying that made me rethink some things.
Okay.
So part of my list is
there's going to be snubs, Travis.
Yeah. And I think I've done the work trying to recognize different genres that don't get recognized.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue my work.
Man.
And
we appreciate your service, Travis.
Thank you. Now, this might be a controversial pick, but that's fine. This is our podcast, and we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, this is our criteria.
So I'm going to give a spot to a movie. It is a movie. Okay. Bo Burnham's Inside.
Wow.
Yeah. And the reason is some comedy needs to be introduced to this list, but also what one man achieved locked in one room. First of all, to even attempt this, I don't think a lot of people would have even tried, especially comedians. They're like, there's no audience.
Yeah.
No. You really have to go outside the box to be like, I'm going to try something crazy.
Yeah.
And it may not work. And it worked for me. It's an incredible feat. I feel like, especially the time it came out.
Yeah.
Right after COVID.
During
COVID, during the height of it.
Wasn't it 2020?
Yeah. I mean, I think it came out like he made it in the 2020s, but I think this was the only way to do something creatively for a comedian. And most just said,
yeah.
Most started a podcast. That's what they did.
Yeah.
Like us. We're just doing a podcast. Who would do that? But this, for what it achieved in, one man just locked in a house. Can I make anything funny or interesting?
Yeah. And
he went for it. And he went all the way for it. And
that's wild.
It's incredible to me. It's an incredible feat.
That's an interesting pick, Travis.
It is.
It's kind of like you were saying, it almost, it's, at least of the list we've got so far, it's kind of the torchbearer for the COVID year.
Yeah.
Because I don't think either of us will pick another one from that year, even though there were some good films that came out during 2020, but that's just kind of almost like a time capsule.
Yeah. It's like, how can we be as creative as possible? Because the normal ways that we can't do. Yeah. And most people just did nothing. Yeah. Or, did something or couldn't. And so I think it was very experimental. And again, I don't think you give me a list of the top 10 comedians. I don't think they would be like, I'm not trying that. I mean, that's not going to work and it's going to go horrible.
Yeah. Let me see Kevin Hart's version.
I don't think it'd be very good. Yeah. But no, when I watched it, I was like, damn, that was incredible. Like he literally did everything by himself.
Yeah. I mean, he's expressing everything kind of everyone else is feeling at that point. Yeah. He just has an avenue to do it.
Yeah. But it really tackled mental health and kind of not just the sickness side of this, but like, what is this doing to our, social ability? And he kind of really painted a picture of kind of what a lot of people experienced during this time. And it's just incredible.
It just shows how much can be accomplished with, a keyboard and some cameras.
That's it.
Some editing equipment.
That's it. You can you can do whatever you want. But I think to me, it deserves some sort of recognition for what it is.
Yeah.
And so I get to make the list. So it's going in the spot.
Yeah. All right.
So now we got horror, comedy, animation,
amazing,
blockbuster, and then, some of those other movies that are just, that still fit.
Unclassifiable.
That's right. All right. Well, you got one more?
One more. Okay. So this one, I'm going more recent for my last one.
Okay.
Going a little bit more small scale.
Okay.
For my last one. This is a movie that came out not really on a lot of people's radar either. It features a performance by someone who's never been in a leading role before, has been around the industry for a very long time, but this is her first leading role. And I picked this movie because it just does something with such a simple story premise with the direction that was totally unexpected for me and just made the movie for me. I just making this best picture top 10 of the decade so far. I like you kind of were going with a more experimental pick last time.
Yeah.
I just want to recognize movies that do something different, that push the medium a little bit. And so the movie I'm picking is Thelma.
Okay.
Like I said, came out last year, kind of under people's radar. Very simple premise. This old woman essentially gets scammed over the phone into giving away a bunch of her money, and essentially goes to track down her scammers to get her money back.
Yeah.
Very simple premise. It's both a comedy, but also has a lot of poignant moments in it.
Yeah.
Just kind of dealing with aging and a demographic that doesn't always get a bunch of spotlight in film.
For sure.
But what I love so much about this one is with the direction, it plays out like it's an espionage thriller.
Yeah.
And it's just, it makes it so clever. She's this older woman and basically riding around town on a scooter.
Yeah.
And, it just makes the moments that are just little things that we don't even like think about it being like struggle, like finding a password for your computer or
right.
Or, something like that. And, the music kicks in and it's like that kind of Ocean's 11, like espionage type music.
Yeah.
She's on the phone with her grandson, just like race against the clock, trying to find a password to get into this other person's computer. It's just so it's both, like I said, both fun and poignant, and just does something different with a movie that I haven't really seen.
Well, it does something different with the genre too. Yeah. Not just like the story it's trying to tell it, because I think it encapsulates a couple of genres. Yeah. And it's a very heartfelt movie. It's a feel good movie. Like you feel good after you watch it.
Yeah. It sounds like it would be like a sad, like exploration of like older people being like scammed and mistreated, but it really is a fun movie.
Oh yeah. And it just shows that even though they're getting older and, not as nimble, that they still don't deserve to be taken advantage of. Yeah. And they won't. Yeah. They won't stand for that. And that it's a very creative, it's a great movie. Yeah. That's a good one, Will. I appreciate that on there.
Again, I like the diversity of picks we got on this. Yeah. It's a very weird best picture nomination list. That's what I like to see though.
Yeah. Well, no, and it's just best picture. It's not what was the most popular. Yeah. All right, my last one, I'm gonna kind of realign with the Academy. Okay. I think I did my job at branching out a little bit. They get it
right a lot of time.
Yeah. Yes. Sometimes they do. Yeah. And I'm gonna go with Dune Part 2 as my last pick. I think it's an incredible movie. I hit sci-fi on there too. I think
we needed some sci-fi.
It's an incredible movie. I think it might have been, it might be Best Picture last year.
Yeah. A lot of people agree with that.
It's very good. The story is very good. Performance, everything. The world building in those movies are great. Like you feel in it. Yeah. And again, I don't think you can remove that, and like you have to talk about that for what it was. And again, we got another Austin Butler performance that was incredible.
Man, a lot of Austin Butler on this.
Austin Butler, man, he's
best picture list.
Watch out, he's coming. No, and I think it needs to be discussed. I think it needs to be on a list. I don't know if it'll win at the actual Oscars, but
yeah,
definitely deserves to be talked about for what it achieved.
Yeah, I mean, just achievement in film. Like, love or hate the story, it's just from the production design to the editing to the
sound design,
cinematography, the sound. Yeah, you're in that world.
Yeah,
and I think of the two Dunes so far, because both were nominated Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Part 2 is the one that should be there on our list. Like, it for me, like I had a little bit of trouble getting into Part 1. It's very much set up. Like, the whole movie is very much set up.
Yeah.
I think Part 2 was better in almost
well, yeah, and you're just in it, and the story starts, and no setup.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just amazing achievement in film.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
We're both Denis Villeneuve fans.
Yeah,
like, anytime he has one come out, it's going to be top notch, at least from a filmmaking standpoint.
Yeah,
and that's what we're trying to recognize here, right. Like the filmmaking.
Yeah,
all kinds of filmmaking. That happens to be probably the highest production,
right,
of any of.
But
the
I feel
films.
like we hit all kinds of different levels of budgets and production and what went into it. And these all still had the same core we're looking for, and just tell a good story.
Yeah.
Like, can you tell a good story?
Yeah.
And can you do that? Then you get on this list,
Yeah.
And I like our list. I think it's good. I enjoy all the movies on this list.
All right. We got our 10. Is there any movie that you are kicking yourself over that, like, you wanted to include it, but it's just...
there were lots of movies that I thought, man, this should be on there. But as we got into the list, I think I kind of realized more what the list was.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like I love these movies.
Yeah.
It was more like, do these encapsulate a best picture for this portion of the year?
Yeah.
And I feel like we nailed that. I feel like we did. There was definitely some ones that, like Saturday Night was. Yeah,
we both loved that one.
It's a really good movie.
I said really we were going to talk about it more, but we didn't.
We just did.
Yeah.
It was really creative. Tenet, I loved. I don't think it hit Best Picture levels, but again, it was the first movie back into theaters after COVID. I think Top Gun really did what that one should have done.
Yeah.
The Batman is one that I toyed with.
Yeah.
Again, that one hit a lot of levels too. There's so many great movies this past decade.
Yeah.
It was hard to narrow it down, but I think essentially we have a good diverse list that kind of encapsulates the best of the decade.
I think so too. A couple of the ones that almost snuck in there. Again, if you weren't going to name a animation or horror, I was going to try and sneak one in there. So had Soul on my list.
Yeah.
Just maybe the most profound animated movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't think that's hyperbole. Like, it's just,
no, it is.
I can't wait from watching that. Like, I'm not sure I completely understood it.
Right.
How will an 8-year-old watching this understand?
Yeah.
Like, just some of the ideas it threw out there, like, I felt was worthy of Best Picture talk. In terms of horror, kind of recency bias, but Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Just from a production standpoint, it just...
The visual storytelling of that, and the marriage between the cinematography and the sounds, and it definitely deserves that. It just, again, it's hard to narrow it down when you get into the nitty gritty of making lists.
There's always snubs.
There's always snubs. That the moral of this podcast episode is there's always people that get left out.
Yeah, you can't
have everyone.
You can't see every movie. You can't award every movie.
That's right.
Yeah,
but I think we did a good job at talking about the highlights of the decade so far.
Yeah, I think so too. I'd like to see on paper kind of what our list is.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah.
Do you guys think we did okay? I'm sure there's some controversial picks we have on there, some picks maybe people haven't seen. What are some of your best picture, quote unquote, nominees of the decade, or even some of your favorite films so far? Been a great 5 years of film, but would love to hear what you say. While you're down in the comments, also give us a like, subscribe to the channel. and just keep the conversation going. But until next time, it's been Cinema Clubhouse podcast.
Until next time, Will.